So this is our market update for Market Pulse for the 3rd of August, Monday, and we start with the dollar. As we can see, the dollar is continuing its bullish trend with the counter trend in price and momentum. We can see that there was a sharp decline in the dollar and a smaller decline this week. But the fact that it broke down the red line here shows quite significant counter move to the current bullish trend. The VIX in the weekly chart is still bearish, and it's sitting more or less on the same level. Government bonds, a small counter trend on the momentum, has entered the bullish picture, as we can see here. But government bonds, US government bonds, 10-year yield still in a bullish upward trend on the weekly chart. The SPY is continuing its bullish trend, and we see a quite strong momentum, as you can see there. And then the NASDAQ just turned bullish. Price is now also aligned with the bullish trend as well as the momentum, and it had that same spike as the SPY. And then Amplify CWP growth and income EFT also turned bullish, a similar picture as the NASDAQ. And then crude Brent oil has now turned bearish, with the price and the momentum aligned with that. We have now moved to $82.88 in oil. Then in terms of the US dollar to compare to the South African rand, we can see there that currently it trades at 16 rand and 31 cents. It is in a bull trend, which means that the South African rand is bull trend means that the dollar is strengthening against the South African rand, but we see a counter trend in price and momentum. The price has fallen below its moving average, and we see this the last 2 weeks, how momentum has dropped, and the lines here has turned red, and they are broadening. Next, we go to gold. Gold has been, or is continuing its bear trend, but we have a counter trend in the momentum. As we can see here, our momentum lines are curling inwards, and the blue line is curling upwards. If we enlarge the picture here, we can see that gold has significantly moved closer to the red moving average. It broke also above this resistance, or the support level actually. So a very strong counter trend in gold, but bigger picture on the weekly, still bullish, bearish, sorry. And that is also the picture on Bitcoin, bearish trend. However, there is a strong counter trend. Well, not that strong, a counter trend in price and momentum, we can see there is quite a strong support level here at 57735, basically moving sideways at the moment. And if things ought to turn bullish, we want to see that the blue line cross upward over this line, the green and red line. Which brings us to Ethereum. Ethereum, there is a bullish trend that is continuing on the weekly chart with price and momentum aligned with that. This brings us to the Satrix EFTs. Firstly, the Satrix MSCI World Fund. We can see that that just turned bullish with price aligned and momentum aligned. And again, we see that strong upward push in momentum. For the emerging markets, there is still a bull trend, but it is continuing the counter trend. However, it did break up over the red line for momentum. And so we see in the last 1 to 3 weeks, there is a shift towards the upward side in the momentum. SP 500 in the Satrix, we see that it now finally moved bullish with alignment in price and momentum. And again, we see that strong upward push in momentum here. The NASDAQ, a mixed picture. Trend is still bullish, but there's a counter trend in price because it's below its moving average. But the momentum is aligned, and we see the blue line, momentum line, cross above the longer momentum line, with the longer momentum line turning green or bullish. The Satrix 40 portfolio is bearish with a counter trend in price and momentum. It closed above its moving average, which is quite significant. And we see a strong push in momentum. We see it is higher than this last level. As you can see there, this is higher than that level. So a strong counter trend on the South African stock market. Roughly the same picture. Also break above its moving average. What we would like to see is that this momentum breaks above that green line. Satrix dividend stays bearish. Price stays aligned because different to the two that we saw now, it didn't break or close above its moving average. And there is a counter trend, bullish counter trend in momentum. Satrix bond fund, South African bonds, we see a bearish trend with counter momentum in price and momentum. It's quite a strong breakout here in terms of its momentum. Inflation-linked bonds. Mixed picture, bullish trend with a counter in price, but aligned momentum. Same also for global bonds, bearish trend is continuing, but there's a counter trend in price, and the momentum is also, but the momentum is aligned still with the bearish trend. And so it pushed downwards. Moving essentially between this resistance level 3775 and this support level 3542. And lastly, Satrix property, still in bullish alignment in both price and momentum. However, we can see here that the momentum didn't overreach or this high. It's still lower than this high there. And so we would like to see momentum continuing in that direction. However, if we look here, lower high, lower high, lower high. So definitely in a bullish direction at the moment. And we showed that it's actually making a triangle, and we will have to see which side it's going to break out. So that is the end of our Market Watch report for Monday, the 3rd of August 2026. See you next week.